Hey everyone, this video will discuss my experience with this most recent LPSCON. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you are most likely aware of the issues that people have been facing at LPSCON 2024. I also recommend viewing these accounts on Instagram for more details and in-depth information on what other people endured, as this video will only be about my experiences. I've been attending LPSCON consecutively since 2019. I didn't attend the virtual convention in 2020, but I have been attending all of their cons in person since then, so I knew what to expect before showing up this year. Despite the controversy, I had a really nice time at LPSCON, although my outside circumstances may have influenced this drastically. This year, like all years, I was a general attendee, meaning I didn't show up until 1. I do not have any information about what happened to the content creator attendees other than what we've seen on social media. My plane landed early and my best friend, my dad, and I stopped for lunch, and afterwards we brought water bottles and spray bottles to keep us hydrated. We showed up to the GA line around 12:45, and although the line was rapidly growing, nothing really started moving until exactly 1. In the 15 minutes I was outside, my shoes started getting ridiculously hot through the soles, and even with our spray bottles and water, it was still a pretty bad experience waiting in the line. I was informed that people were waiting upwards of 40 minutes in that heat, which would absolutely suck. The main issues people have been discussing were waiting in the extreme heat leading to dehydration and people passing out, not a big variety of food to choose from / long lines at food trucks, paying for water, super loud music, nowhere for people to relax, and no AC. I had only experienced issues with the heat, the music, and nowhere to relax, so I'll only comment on that. However, the issues surrounding paying for water has been fairly consistent. Back in 2021, the convention was held outdoors, and water was selling for around $7 a bottle. I remember having to go back into the hotel lobby a few times so I could have a place to sit down and recover from the heat. I was also a vendor during that time, and we were told if we temporarily packed up our booth, we could not return, so we weren't able to take very many breaks. Funny story, I actually dyed my hair blue a little bit before the convention, and when I came back, my hair dye had melted off my head. This year, I was drinking out of a plastic water bottle in line and was allowed in with it. I used the water fountain to fill up my water bottle and received free water around 4 when I was waiting for a lemonade and some food. I also heard from other attendees that the food was really expensive. I have a bank receipt of what I spent on a drink, 2 bags of chips, and a large strawberry crepe. I personally don't think this was very unreasonable, but others may have differing opinions. The loud microphones have always been an issue for as long as I can remember. My best friend and I have been making jokes about this since 2021. During the raffle, the screaming into the microphone was really loud, so I could only imagine people who were also sensitive to noise having to deal with that. We also had nowhere to take a break. As a GA attendee, we were told we were not allowed upstairs. I know that people have said that GA attendees had made it upstairs, but it wasn't the case for me. We were only there from around 1 to 6:30, and although we had chairs, thank God, we couldn't escape the noise until we left the con and went home. These were only my experiences. I can't speak for everyone else who attended and had a bad time since my experience went pretty well. In conclusion, since I've been to prior LPSCons before, I cheaped out on this entire trip. I bought GA passes, I didn't book a hotel, meaning that I flew to Vegas and back home the same day. I bought food before, I flew Southwest, which is a relatively cheap airline, and I didn't buy any pets at the convention. So, would I go again? I think I would. The whole trip isn't too expensive for me, but I would not purchase a VIP ticket. I would really appreciate it if the host added relaxation or quiet rooms for people to take breaks, maybe doing catering instead of food trucks, and hosting raffles, or maybe even a bingo to win the Comic-Con cat instead of a raffle in a separate room versus the trading. I also think a location change to California would be super beneficial. From what I know, the host's family lives in Vegas, so the trip wouldn't be too difficult to make. Vegas is not a safe city, especially for young children, and I think that if the convention was moved to a city like San Diego, Santa Barbara, or San Luis Obispo, I think people would be more willing to make the trip since you can make an actual vacation out of that. I also think that maybe if it gets really, really desperate, I think that maybe a CEO change could also be beneficial, but these are only mere suggestions. I appreciate anyone who traded with me, and I loved meeting all of you, and thank you for listening to my experience.